Om Shanti. Good morning, everyone. So, we will listen to this beautiful Murli from Baba today, where Baba is telling us about the importance of obedience, the virtue of obedience. Baba is telling us the connection between obedience and happiness. How, when we follow Brahma Baba's and Shiv Baba's directions, then we are able to experience happiness, we are able to experience contentment at every step. Baba is describing in this Murli there are two types of children. Those children, the first number children, are those who follow Baba's instructions every time. That means constantly. And Baba always emphasizes this word constant, underlines, Baba says, underline this word constant. So Baba is telling us that there are some children who are constantly obedient, and then the second category are those children who are obedient but only sometimes. They perform a particular task and then later on they realize that they haven't followed the directions of Baba. So in this Murli, Baba is telling us the benefits of following Baba's instructions and also drawbacks of not following Baba's instructions. So very beautifully, Baba is connecting the obedience and the happiness and contentment. Because Baba is saying that when you obey Baba's instructions at every step, right from your thoughts, then words and actions, if you follow Baba accurately, then you'll be able to get blessings from Baba. And after receiving Baba's blessings, whatever actions we perform, those actions will be fruitful. And without any labor, you don't have to labor. You will get the fruit very easily. That means you get success. And when we get success, then we get contentment. And this is how we get the certificate of contentment that we all need. Okay, so with that, let's listen to this special Murli from Baba. Let me share this with you. Okay, so this Murli was spoken on 14th of January 1988. The title of the Murli is The Reason for Unhappiness is Disobedience in Little Things. The reason for unhappiness is disobedience in little things. Today, the unlimited, greatest of all fathers, the Father who makes you the highest of all, is especially seeing his children who, out of all the children everywhere, are obedient. All consider themselves to be obedient children, but they are number wise. Some are always obedient, whereas others are obedient, but not always. All the children are in the list of obedient children, but there is definitely a difference. The Father who gives instructions gives all the children the same instructions at the same time. He doesn't give a variety of directions or separate directions to individuals. So why is it still number wise then? Those who are always easily embodiments of the awareness of the Father's instructions in every thought and every action automatically move along with their every thought, word, and action in accordance with those instructions. So, first is the awareness, right? We need to know, we need to be aware that these are the instructions of Baba. Only when we are aware will we be able to implement that direction in our thoughts, words, and deeds. So Baba is saying, so that is the first category, those who are always easily embodiments of the awareness of Baba's instructions. That is the first category. Whereas those who do not become embodiments of that awareness repeatedly have to bring them into their awareness. Sometimes, because of having that awareness, they move along being obedient, whereas at other times they remember the instruction after moving along, because they are not embodiments of the awareness of the instructions. Because they don't experience in their actions the instant and visible fruit of elevated actions. They remember later, when the action is over, why they received that result. So later on they realize. The realization comes later on. At that moment, they did not realize, but then later on, they realize that they did not remember the instructions from Baba, and then they performed a wrong task or spoke in a wrong way. So they check themselves after performing the action, and they thereby understand that they haven't experienced the visible fruit because they were not moving along according to the Father's directions. That is not being an embodiment of the awareness of the instructions, but having the awareness after seeing the fruit of your actions. So, number one is easily and automatically being an embodiment of awareness and being obedient. The second number. So the first number is they always remember, they are always aware, they are always obedient. The second number are of those who sometimes perform actions with that awareness and sometimes have that awareness after performing their actions. Don't even ask about the third number. Baba did not tell about the third number. There are two rosaries. The first is a small rosary and the second is a bigger rosary. There is no rosary of the third number because they are not following at all anything. So there is no rosary. This is why Baba is only speaking of two categories. Because they perform actions according to instructions from Amrit Vela. Throughout the day till night time. Number one, obedient children do not experience having to labor in any action, but they experience the special fruit of blessings from the Father as the fruit of their obedience. This is because obedient children always receive blessings from the heart of Bap Dada at every step. So this is so important. This is the best way to increase our treasure of blessings. Many times Baba had said that the conference age is the age where we accumulate treasures, and one of the treasures is the treasure of blessings. And the best way to earn blessings is by obeying Baba at every step. So therefore, because of receiving blessings from the heart, their every action is fruitful, for action is the seed, and the attainment from that seed is the fruit. Because the seed, that is every action of every number one obedient soul, is powerful, they experience contentment and success as the fruit of every action. So the attainment will help us experience that contentment, and that attainment comes when we receive blessings from Baba. So it's such a beautiful chain of events, like obedience. From obedience comes the blessings, from the blessings comes the attainment, and then from the attainment comes the contentment. So this is like a chain. So the main thing is the obedience. So Baba says there can be contentment with the self, with the result of the action, and also in their connections and relationships with many souls. So there are many different levels of contentment, variety of contentment at the level of the self, then the action, then the relationships, connections. So Baba is saying the number one obedient souls naturally and constantly experience all three types of contentment. So they will be contentment with the self. That means whatever efforts they made, they will be contented with themselves. They will be contented with what the result they get, whatever result they get from that action. And then whoever would come in their connections and relationships, they will also be contented. So three types of contentment. So sometimes children are content with their own actions, that they performed very good actions with the right method, and yet at other times they are not able to see the fruit of contentment as much as they think they should. In some cases, they are content with themselves, they are content with their fruit, but there isn't contentment in their connections and relationships. So that would not be called being a number one obedient soul. So any kind of discontentment in these three levels, Baba is saying that that's not the quality of a number one obedient soul. Baba is saying a number one obedient soul would experience contentment in all three things. But then Baba is now telling us deeper aspect of this. Baba is saying, according to the present time, some souls sometimes experience themselves to be discontent with some elevated obedient children. So even if you're obeying everything, still some souls are still discontented. One time, I think Dadi Prakashmani, she asked Baba, that Baba, how can I content everyone? So then Baba said that if you content about 95% of souls, then Baba will give you grace marks, 5% Baba will give you. So you work towards 95%. So that is what we have to do. We should not think that we are not able to content this person, that person. So that way we will be disheartened, because you cannot content, you cannot make others, you cannot make everyone content. So Baba is telling us the reason. What is the reason for that? Baba is saying you would think that there is no one with whom everyone is content. Someone or other would always be discontent. But there are many reasons for that. Why souls are not contented with us. So firstly, because of not knowing their own reasons, there is a misunderstanding. So that means they themselves are confused. They themselves don't know that they were doing something wrong. So there is a misunderstanding. Secondly, according to their own intellects, they have too many desires or expectations of the seniors. And when those expectations are not fulfilled, they become discontent. Too many desires they have, Baba is saying. So then they become discontent. I remember one instant. I think at that time Baba was distributing tolis to everyone. And Baba gave toli to everyone except Dadi Prakashmani. And Baba was actually testing Dadi, whether Dadi would be upset or not. But Dadi was not affected actually. So this is how, Baba would test. If everyone is getting toli, why Baba did not give me the toli? So similarly, sometimes students are like that, that everyone is getting this particular thing and I am not getting. They have too many desires, too many expectations, so they become discontented. And you cannot satisfy everyone. So that's what Baba is saying. So they become discontent, and then they become discontent, they become upset, and then they leave. So that is their own desires and expectations. So thirdly, because of their past sanskars and nature and the karmic account of some souls, those who should become content are not content. So their own past sanskars and nature comes in between. And because of this, there is no reason why others should be discontent with number one obedient souls or elevated souls. But they do remain discontent due to their own reasons. This is why in some cases it seems as though someone is discontent with everyone. However, in that too, the majority, at least 95%, would be content. 5% would be seen as discontent. So, the majority of the number one obedient souls would make others content in all three ways. Because they constantly perform every elevated action according to instructions, because of being content after performing every action, their minds or intellects would not be repeatedly disturbed by their actions, whether they did the right thing or not. When you obey, then you are contented, because you have this thing in your mind that I followed everything accurately. So then there will not be any second thought. But those in the second category often have thoughts in their minds after performing the action as to whether they did the right thing or not. In your language, you speak of this as your conscience biting because you did not do the right thing. The conscience of a number one obedient soul would never bite, because they do everything according to instructions. They always remain light. So this is another quality of number one obedient soul. Their conscience will not bite and they will always remain light. For they don't have any burden of the bondage of karma. You were told earlier too that one is to have a relationship of karma and the other is to perform actions under a bondage of karma. So a number one soul comes into a relationship of karma and is therefore always light. So in every action, because of receiving special blessings from Bap Dada, a number one soul would constantly experience internal willpower as a result of blessings. Such a soul would always experience super sensuous joy. He would always experience himself to be full. Fullness will be there. One of the things that Mohini Didi said one time was about inner content. Just like a book, if we want to read a book, then we would look at the contents of the book. If the contents are interesting, then we would feel like reading the book, right? So similarly, our intellect is like a book. So in that book, what are the contents? So if the contents are good, interesting, then we will enjoy. And the inner content, how we can make the inner content of good quality? By churning the knowledge. The more we churn the knowledge, the more we think about what Baba said today, the more we fill our intellect with the jewels of knowledge, the more we will be drawn towards reading that inner book. That means we want to experience those jewels. And then when we start experiencing those jewels of knowledge, then there will be super sensuous joy. Then there will be a sense of fullness. So that's why it's very important to keep checking our inner content. What is inside? If the inner content is good, then automatically we are contented. So contentment comes with attainment, because we begin to experience joy, fullness. So the attainment will make us give a beautiful experience of contentment. Then Baba is saying, do you know what some children sometimes say when they put the condition of their heart in front of the Father? I don't know why, but today I feel empty inside. So why do they feel empty inside? Nothing much has happened as such, but yet there isn't the experience of perfection or happiness. At that time, they did not perform any wrong action. or make a little mistake, but while moving along, because of being ignorant or careless, from time to time, they don't do everything according to instructions. So this is the reason why they are feeling empty from inside, because somewhere or the other they have disobeyed Baba because of their carelessness or ignorance. Firstly, a burden of disobedience to time pulls you towards itself at some time. So we create an account with time also. We create account with our actions. So just as the strong sanskars and nature of the previous birth sometimes pull you towards themselves even against your conscious wish, similarly, from time to time, the burden of your disobedience sometimes pulls you towards itself. Those are the karmic accounts of the past, and these are karmic accounts of the present time. Because no account, whether of this birth or past births, can be burnt without your being in the stage of an embodiment of the fire of love. Baba says, the only way to burn the sins from the past and also the present is by igniting the fire of yoga. So because you do not constantly have the stage of being an embodiment of this fire, that is because you do not constantly have the stage of powerful remembrance of the seed stage of being a lighthouse and might house, you are unable to burn your karmic accounts. And that is why the accounts that still remain pull you towards themselves. So if we are feeling heavy, if we are feeling burdened, that means we are still holding on to the past, or we are holding on to the present. So we need to settle all the accounts. So we need to increase our efforts, intensify our efforts. So you don't make a mistake at that time and yet you feel, I don't know what happened. Sometimes your mind won't be able to stay in remembrance or in service, and sometimes there will be waves of unhappiness. One is to experience peace through knowledge, and the other is the peace of dead silence where there is no happiness or bliss. When someone dies, then also there is silence, very different kind of silence, right? Where everyone is so sad, everyone is mourning. So that kind of silence where there is no happiness. So that is peace without any sweetness. So Baba wants us to experience sweet silence and then deep silence and dead silence. Three types of silence Baba describes. Baba wants us to experience the sweetness that is there in silence. So when we come closer and closer to Baba, we are able to taste the sweetness, which Baba said in the Murli, yesterday's Murli, that Baba is the saccharine. So we have to taste the sweetness of that saccharine. And in order to taste the sweetness of saccharine, we have to go deeper and deeper into the ocean. Baba gave us the blessing yesterday, right? That you have to become an embodiment of the experience. And you can become that only when you go deep into the ocean and keep churning and keep experiencing. So we have to experience that deep silence as well. And also actually dead silence. And our dead silence is very different. Because Baba says that you have died alive. So we have to die from the world, die from the old world, die from the old consciousness, die from the old way of thinking, old way of feeling. So that kind of dead silence, that will take us to that sweet silence and then deep silence. So Baba is saying, the heart's desire would just be to go and sit somewhere in solitude. All of these things are signs of being disobedient in one way or other. The burden of karma pulls you. One form of disobedience is to commit a sin or to make a big mistake. And the second is disobedience in little things. For instance, the father's instruction is at Amrit Vela, stay in powerful remembrance according to the right discipline. Right? We have to sit properly, we have to keep our eyes open, and we have to stay very alert, and we should not think about anything else except the soul and the Supreme Soul. We have to make that powerful connection. So, what would you say if you do not observe this instruction at Amrit Vela? Would that be being obedient or disobedient? So, right from Amrit Vela, we start disobeying Baba by not having that kind of strong connection with Baba. So, these are little things that we disobey. So, would that be being obedient or disobedient? Perform every action as a karma yogi. Then how we are listening to the Murli, that is also very important. So we have to listen to the Murli with attention. Our attention should not go here and there. If we are distracted while listening to the Murli, so at that time also we are disobeying Baba. And then after that, Baba's instructions are to be a karma yogi and to perform every action in that consciousness with the feeling of being an instrument, with humility. So that is the instruction from Baba. But if we show ego, if we show arrogance as we connect, as we, come in connection with others, as we interact with the outside world, if we show ego, so again we are disobeying Baba. So you have these instructions. There is a long list of these, but Baba is just quoting one as an example. You have been given instructions for everything, your vision, your attitude, etc. And then we have to see everyone as a soul. We have to have that brotherly vision. Our attitude has to be very pure. So Baba has given us all these instructions. So out of all these instructions, if you don't follow any one instruction in the right way, it is known as being disobedient in little things. If you continue to accumulate this account, it will definitely pull you towards itself. And this is why you say that you are unable to accumulate as much as you want. When you are asked, are you moving along okay? You all say yes. However, When you are asked if you are accumulating as much as you should, you then have to think about it. While receiving so many signals, while being knowledgeful, if you are still unable to accumulate as much as you should, what is the reason for that? The burden of the past and the present do not allow you to become double light. Sometimes you become double light, and sometimes the burden brings you down. You don't constantly experience the stage of super sensuous joy and peace filled with happiness. You don't experience the attainment of the lift of special blessings from Bab Dada for being obedient. This is why you sometimes find it easy, and at other times you find you have to labor. You very clearly heard about the specialities of a number one obedient soul. So who is number two then? Those who lack these specialities are number two, and they become the beads of the second number rosary. So you want to become part of the first rosary, do you not? Nothing is difficult. The instruction for every step is very clear. So is it easy or difficult to move along according to that? The instructions are the Father's footsteps. So it is easy to place your steps in his footsteps, is it not? Baba is asking, is it not? In any case, all of you are true Sitas, brides. So the brides place their steps in his footsteps, do they not? This is the method. So what is difficult? In the relationship of a child too, a child is one who follows the footsteps of the father, one who does what the father says. The father speaks and the child does. This is known as being number one, obedient. So check and change yourself. Acha, to all the most obedient, elevated souls everywhere, to the special souls who always experience the blessings received from the Father, to the great souls who always experience contentment and success in every action, to the obedient children who place their steps in the Father's footsteps, Bapdada's love, remembrance, and namaste. So I will stop here and I will read the rest of the Murli next time. Om Shanti. You can take just a moment to remember Baba and thank him for the wonderful jewels of knowledge that he shared with us today. Om Shanti. So you can share, whoever would like to share, please go ahead.
Om Shanti, sister. So Baba says that, the number one obedient soul. So true obedience is not just knowing the Father's instructions, but we following them. becoming an embodiment of those instructions. We have to become aware in our thought, words, and action. And when we become obedient souls, right, that's when we automatically experience the blessing, sorry, the contentment, super senses, joy, and success without labor. So we have to follow the instructions from Baba according to Srimad, and as a result, we experience all this, and we will be out of labor. Disobedience, as Baba says, it's especially on small things that create a subtle burden inside, karmic burdens. So that that disturbs inside us, and that creates that emptiness inside. So that will not allow us to remember Baba. So we come into that fluctuation always, sometimes happy, sometimes not happy. Yeah, thank you, Om Shanti.
Shanti, sister. Somewhere I feel once we are aware of Baba's instructions, we have a reservoir of thoughts available with us all time. Wherever we go, we have one or the other Srimad to abide by, and that's how probably we remain happy all the time. So, in case we are not in awareness of the Srimad itself, I think that's when we lose out here. And probably that's where unhappiness creeps up because we are now following Manmat. But at times it so does happen that we are not completely aware of the Shrimas because we are too much task oriented or focused upon that task, which is locking in nature. Probably that is one reason why it happens because there is naturally you're not aware of the Srimat itself. But yes, I understand this concept that by being obedient and following Srimat, we get the Hath and Saath of Baba all the time. Baba, as he says, uh, we remain light by remembering Srimat and following his instructions all the time. Yeah. Thank you, Om Shanti.
Um, Om Shanti. So here I think the main thing is to have that remembrance, like sorry, that awareness before the action. I think I often experienced certain things I remember only after a certain time. I mean, when the action is already past. So that means I'm there. We are not being an embodiment of that awareness or that point. So I think to conquer that, I think we need to really have that. We have to make that our remembrance strong, right? And here Baba also mentioned about the discipline. The first discipline is the Amrita Vela. So having a powerful connection or powerful remembrance, and that will, that itself is the main discipline.
Yeah, Baba gave the example of Amrit Vela. So if we start our day with obedience, then throughout the day it will be easy for us to follow other instructions of Baba. But if we start our day right from the beginning of the day, if we are disobeying the instructions, then throughout the day again we will be disobeying Baba many times throughout the day.
Yeah. So having the awareness all the time, so we need to know all the points, right? So some of the points I think will take time to digest within the self. So that's where I think the churning is also required, right? Because there's a lot of Murli. So I don't think remembering all points of the Murli, right, would be a little bit difficult. I think most of the people, those who are experiencing any sort of an issue, so they might look for that particular solution in the Murli. So not all the points, right? So, and therefore, when we don't remember all points, then also when there is any issue comes, right, we are not, we may not be an embodiment of awareness of that particular point. So that also will not allow us to follow that Srimad, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's why Baba says na, that um, keep checking what is your inner content. So in our intellect, only jewels of knowledge should be there and nothing else. So we need to keep checking whether my intellect is filled with pure thoughts from Baba or waste thoughts. Because if waste thoughts are there, then we won't be able to become an embodiment of the point that we are supposed to become at the moment when we need a particular point. It gets mixed up. So then we don't even remember. So
Yeah.
constant attention is a must. Constant attention. That's why we have this traffic control. Every hour for 1 minute, we need to check whether we are in soul consciousness or we have moved away from soul consciousness and we are kind of distracted. And it's very easy to get distracted in this world where everyone is so body conscious. So that's why we have to keep ourselves very protected by being with Baba, holding Baba's hand of Srimad. So this is the effort. That's why Baba keeps telling us, make intense efforts, make intense efforts. This is the effort of remembering, becoming aware, becoming an embodiment. And that is why, Dadi Janki would read the Murli 10 times, 10, 12 times. And then she would keep churning, keep churning, keep churning. And this is how she became so powerful because of her churning. So we also have to do the same. Keep churning. Right? Anyone
Yeah,
else?
absolutely, sister.
Okay. So anyone else would like to say something?
Just something that resonates with me when Baba speaks about obedience. Um, Amrit Vela, of course, is the base, but sometimes because of the um, work pressure or sleeping late, Amrit Vela may be a little twisted. What works for me is listening to the Murli as the first thing in the morning if Amrit Vela doesn't happen. So I know there is a drift in what Bob is talking about in obedience, but I'm just sharing my practical experience that Murli just grounds whatever is going on in the mind. And as many of us resonate with this, that it's a letter every day we get from Baba to what's going on within us. And for me, Murli is like the foundation uh, for the entire day to be at the right space. And even if there is any kind of drift during the day, the only thing that comes to my hand is going back to some Murli points.
Definitely. That's the true food for the soul, true food for the mind, right type of food for the mind, healthy food. So definitely. Because we use the Murli points, during Amrit Vela as we experience. So we cannot experience anything unless we have the knowledge points. That's why Baba says, Gyan and yoga both are important. You cannot do yoga without Gyan, and you cannot have Gyan without. There is no use of Gyan if you are not using the Gyan in yoga. Right?
True.
Okay, so shall we end now?
Yeah, just one quick announcement about tomorrow's session before we move on to meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so this is about a master class tomorrow. So we have a special master class tomorrow, which will be taken by BK Warren K. from Australia, and the topic is Lens of Silence. So this flyer is already shared in the WhatsApp group. So request everyone to join and take complete benefit of the session. Yeah, with that, over to you, Kanishta Ben, for a short meditation. Thank you.
Yes. So let's see ourselves as true Baba's brides, following his footsteps, following Baba every second, in every thought, in every word, and in every action. And as we obey Baba at every step, we become more and more light, more and more happy and contented, because we accumulate more and more blessings from Baba. And this is the time to accumulate the treasure of blessings. This is the time to experience the sweetness of silence and experience super sensuous joy. So let's see ourselves as number one obedient souls, always following Baba's Srimad and constantly experiencing success and making everyone around us, including the self, content. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you to Baba. Thank you, Kanishta sister. Thank you, Divine Family. See you tomorrow at 5 a.m. Until then, have a beautiful day.